In my last lecture, I was telling you how Buddhism continued to flourish in Central Asia and how Buddhism was losing its control in those areas, and what was the scenario at that time in India. When you consider about Indian scenario, we find in the heartland of India, Buddhism continued to flourish under the Guptas. Gupta rulers ruled over India from 4th century to 6th century AD, and Gupta rulers like Kumaragupta supported and enlarged the Nalanda University, which became the largest and most influential Buddhist university in India for many centuries, where scholars from different countries, different parts of the world were coming to study. They were staying there. Then I was telling you about how Chinese traveler Huanshan visited India during the 7th century AD, and he reported in his travels across India that Buddhism was popular in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Tamil Nadu, while reporting any deserted stupas in the area around modern day Nepal and the persecution of many Buddhists by Shashank, the king of Gauda, was perhaps the last days of Buddhist heyday in heartland India. Buddhism continued to flourish for some time, and under the Pala rulers, who were the feudatories of in Bengal, Buddhism again took the center stage. The Palas were strong supporters of Buddhism, and they built several important Buddhist centers like Bikramshila, Sompura. These are big monasteries and big Buddhist establishment. They supported older centers like Nalanda and Bodh Gaya, and it was during that time we find the scholars, philosophers are coming to Nalanda to study, and from there we find Buddhism started spreading towards Tibet, Bhutan, and Sikkim. When Buddhism was going to be a less important position because of the advent of Turkic invasion under Muhammad Khilji in 1193, Buddhism started declining, at least in India. Nalanda was burnt by these Muslim invaders, and after the Islamic conquest of Bihar, Buddhist stronghold started to decline, and because of the rise of Hindu philosophy like Advaita, Bhakti movement, Buddhism was pushed to a corner. But while Buddhism was losing popularity in the Gangetic plain, it was being systematically destroyed by the Muslim invasion, yet it remained a force to reckon with in the present day Odisha, earlier known as in different names, Kalinga, Toshala, Uskala, and many other names. Now, let's know about the state of affair of Buddhism in Odisha. Buddhism in Odisha is as old as the religion itself. While Kapilavastu, Lumbini, Bodh Gaya, and Sarnath, these places are associated with Buddha's life, yet Buddhism as a religion, in all practical purposes, started in Odisha. Early Buddhist texts referred to two merchants from Utkal, which is another name of Odisha, two merchants from Odisha. Names are Tapashu and Bahalik. They met Buddha on his way to Sarnath. Buddha was going to Sarnath that time after attainment of enlightenment, after he got the Bodhi. Then he was going on his way to Sarnath, and these two merchants, Tapashu and Bahalik, offered him honey and some rice cakes. Buddha gave them 8 locks of his hair, and these two merchants became the first disciples of Buddha, and this way it was perhaps the beginning of formation of a band of lay followers, lay disciples. Emperor Ashok, after Kalinga War, officially embraced Buddhism and jealously worked for the spread of the Buddhist religion. For any lay Buddhist follower, besides Bodh Gaya and Sarnath, there is yet another very famous, extremely famous pilgrimage site, such as Dhauli in Kalinga, which is just 10 kilometers away from modern city of Bhubaneswar, where Emperor Ashok was transformed and introduced Buddhism as its state religion. He was actively propagating it even as far as the Sri Lanka and Indonesia through his personal benefits, through his personal ambassadors, carving his edicts in the rocks, rock edicts and pillar edicts, still visible at Dhauli, and establishing strict vegetarian food for himself and for the entire court. So that was the change in Ashok. After Kalinga War, he changed not only his lifestyle, not only his food habits, but also the food habits of many people in his empire. The conquest by Ashok, Ashok won the war. The conquest by Ashok and the consolidation of the Buddhist power in Odisha introduced an important element in Odissan culture that served in the subsequent centuries through assimilation and reforming as a balancing power against the sometimes excessive ritualistic and casteist power of the Brahmins. As I have already mentioned, that in Hindu religion that time, the Brahmanas were calling the shots. They were putting excess pressure on every individual to make payment, even somebody is dead, somebody's wife, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's son, even if they were in the same pattern. It depends how the people are, and there is a discrimination between the people on the basis of the caste, on the basis of the relations. As I said, if he is the son of an important person, if he is the daughter of an important person, his treatment is different, and if he is not, his treatment was different. So the casteist and the ritualistic things in that time of the society made Buddhism a very popular religion, and after Kalingan War, after Ashok won the war, in subsequent centuries we find an assimilation. Buddhism was already a very popular religion before Ashok's conquest. If it was not a popular religion, how Ashok could be converted? But despite the fact that Buddhism was a popular religion. However, it had no impact because it has no political backing. The new imperial regime of Ashoka simply gave Buddhism a political power which it did not enjoy, which it did not have due to its original nature of renunciation of worldly concerns. In Buddhism, we find the nature was renunciation of the worldly concern. You must give up every worldly comfort. But how to propagate the religion? How the religion is going for every people? We find because Ashoka supported, the religion itself got a great political power which was absent in earlier time. Now, from that period till 7th century AD, Odisha's political history was a vacuum. We do not have much records, we do not have much inscriptions to prove the continuity of the ruling for a longer period. In 7th century AD, Odisha as a state come under the direct control of the Bhaumakaras. Now we will be telling about the Bhaumakaras, who are they, what they did, and what was their contribution to. After the uncertainties, political uncertainties of Odisha, for nearly 300 years, we come to a particular phase of Odisha history in which we find a rulers, a dynasty called Bhaumakaras, who ruled over Odisha until 950 AD, and they are the patrons of Buddhism in Odisha, because most of the rulers of this dynasty were themselves Buddhists, and they are using the titles called Parama Saugata, Parama Tathagata. So that means making allegiance towards Buddha in different forms. Now during this period, Odisha contributed a lot to Buddhist culture, and this perhaps is the reason for a new school in Buddhism called Vajrayana. Now the greatest contribution of Odisha to Buddhist culture seems to be the origin of Vajrayana, confirmed that Vajrayana started in India, was confirmed by the Tibetan work Pak San Jonjan, that refers to the Udyan, which is identified with Odisha as the land of Tantric Buddhism. It is said that this path was started by Asanga and it was developed by the king Indrabhuti and his sister Lakshminkar, his sister of the Bhauma dynasty. The Bhauma rulers built many temples, many monasteries, and they encouraged for the development of the culture, philosophy, art, architecture, literature, and administration. In their period, a well-organized system of feudatories developed. And that time we find the Bhaumakaras, as I said, they were instrumental in constructing many temples, many Buddhist areas, and in which lot of Buddhist scholars were frequenting. We still find the ruins of several other remains of ancient Buddhist settlements which are there in Lalitgiri and the adjacent Languri hills, Ramgiri, Ratnagiri, Mahavihar and Udaygiri. It is all near Cuttack, old district of Cuttack, and now they are in the district of Jajpur. We have lot of places where we find the Buddhist remains. These are Brahmabana, Baneshwaranashi, Ratnagiri, Kurumo, Padampura, Ayodhya, Kupari, Solampura, Khadipada, and so on and so forth. Soro, Baleshwar, Gunpur, Vishwanath Hills, Jaugoda Hills, Gandhamardan Hills, in Ganapalli, and many other places. Now the truth is, Odisha was a rich Buddhist center. That is why even today, if we just dig up something somewhere, something is excavated, we find the ruins of Buddhism. Now Ratnagiri is a place which is near Jajpur. It is on the bank of river Virupa. The Buddhist settlement was already there, and one university was also there for the Mahayana and Vajrayana influences. Now we find in Ratnagiri there are many important and significant temples, chaityas, monasteries, significant centers for the development of Kala Chakra Tantra is another school. It has 2 monasteries with a large courtyard, and many residents were living that time.